This video was presented by EA Creator Network. Thank you to EA for providing me a copy of the pack to review. Slay! Hey hens, how we all diddly doing? How's everybody holding up? For this video, I decided to take you on a little journey because a lot of you are not American, so I don't relate a lot to the high school that's included in this pack. So I decided, as a favour to you, I'm going to make my own version of a high school, which is greatly inspired by the school that I actually went to. First off, I decided to stick with the theme of 70s, concrete, dystopian, Thatcher, that kind of vibe. A lot of the schools that I know, specifically where I'm from, that were built around this time, have this big concrete block with lots of windows that just become this absolute sunroom sauna in the summer. There's absolutely no escaping it. I've never felt heat like that, and I have just lived through the great summer of 2022 in the UK. Yeah, these are pretty much kind of like symmetrical concrete builds. That's the only way I can describe them. In my school, it was the bottom floor was like a corridor and toilets. The floor above that was English. The floor above that was humanities, and then there was just one room on the very top floor, and that was a trek to get to, and that was room 1. God bless that room. She was, you know what, she had the fucking views though, right? That room really popped off with the delights out the window. So I decided to stick with that theme of it as well. I quite color-coded this entire section. My school wasn't that color-coded. We had different colors for each part, but it was kind of just accidental, not based on anything. Primary school was a lot more color-coded because we were in groups like red group, purple group, yellow group, and then they just shattered that sense of belief when we went to secondary school because they were just like, you're in the top set or you're in the bottom, no colors today. Your happiness smashed, babe. So I decided to stick with that theme for this, and I got really excited building this. Then I realized you could only really have 2 classrooms, so I was like, oh well, that's a lot of shit to try and work through, is it not, my darlings? Is it not? So I decided that English has got to have one of the classrooms because I had already put my entire Simussy into it, so that's the vibe that I went with. And I really did try and like bring in this dystopian vibe within it, especially the stairs. I'm not sure if we're at the stairs yet because I'm recording this post thingy. I actually thought that, you know, I would be very ahead of content by now, but unfortunately I got an ear infection, and then my granddad passed away 2 days ago, so I'm not doing too well right now, but work has given me distraction. But anyway, things got a bit Pete Tong in my life, okay, but we're here. This is genuinely giving me distraction, so don't worry about me like, why are you recording? But uploads are going to be a little bit spaced out, which obviously I know that you will already understand. The lighting side is slowly dying. I jest. I will be okay. Anyway, moving on back to the school, okay? Listen, you don't come for me for mental stability, but actually I'm stable in one thing, and it's in the fact that I'm not. You know what I mean? You gotta laugh, Feb. This is genuinely how I cope with shit happening to me. Humour and therapy, obviously. So I decided to go for a green theme with this one. And the school that I went to was like, it was getting kind of old, you know what I mean? Chewing gum underneath every single desk. So I decided to replicate that. All of the desks were wrought on and everything. Like, it's not proper old in the sense that like it's giving Tory vibes. It's old in the sense that like it's giving education. If you're British, you might get those references. If you're not British, so sorry, it's politics references. And one thing I thought that was really just not making the high school that was shipped with the game believable for me is the setup of the tables, because in the UK, we really don't have these single desk setups where you have one desk to yourself and then, you know, there's no one to the left or to the right of you. There's just a walk space. The UK is very much different to that in the sense of lessons and everything are really scheduled around groups. So you might have a long line of tables. Some teachers prefer that. But you also might have a rectangle as a table and you're all kind of facing each other. And that's how I've been brought up in school. So the idea of just single desks is very bizarre to me. Like, what do you do if you do group work? Is group work just not a thing in America? I have questions. America, explain. Yeah, I'm really curious about stuff like that because that's so normalized to me. And even if you're just outside of America, like, I want to know how your school it is. Like, is it the same in elementary school? Are you just not allowed to sit next to your peers in elementary school? Dark times. So yeah, I was very curious about that. But the English building, she came along together in the end. I also made some staff rooms and staff offices and stuff like that, because what is a staff office if not this really dark, dingy place? Honestly, the staff in my school, whenever I went in the offices, because I was a naughty kid, so I was in their offices a lot, all of the staff offices just looked like a repurposed cupboard. Sly. So yeah, so I decided to give them a little bit of character. I'll give them more character than the actual classrooms, because the classrooms, like, only one of them was going to be usable, you know, the rest were kind of for decoration. So I kind of put the personality into the offices. So you can kind of see where some teachers are and stuff like that, what they studied, etc., and what they teach. So that is the English and Humanities department. Next up, again, inspired by my school, we kind of have the entranceway, which in this build, I just had to... No, I did not purpose it as the head teacher thingy. I was going to, but I decided not to in the end. I gave the head teacher their own setup. They can do what they want. Absolutely. Stay out of my business, babe. It's not possible. So I decided to have the entryway. And the entryway in my school was also linked with the main stage, which also was it doubled as the CAF. There'd be tables at lunchtime, and it's also where assemblies were. So it was kind of where performances were, but also where you ate your dinner, and also where you had your assembly on a morning. We only ever had morning assemblies, I think, unless it was like a special year assembly. Because another interesting thing about my school, we had year groups obviously for lessons, but we didn't have form groups in years. We had multi-age form groups, so you'd have year 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s and 11s in a form. We didn't have this all of the time. When I was in year 7, we had year form groups, and then as it changed to that, I remember that like people actually protested at school. It was just one wild day where you could just walk out of lesson and teachers didn't say anything. It was really true. I think it opened my eyes, honestly. Yeah, that was a really bizarre time. We staged a protest, and I don't even think most people that asked about it, because I think people just saw it as the excuse that it was to nick off. I nicked off school one time. It's a really embarrassing story. One thing about me, I was naughty, but in the sense that I was just kind of overwhelmed with everything. I wasn't a skiver, shall we say. That's what we call it, nicking out, skiving, stuff like that. When you purposely bunk off school. Is that what the Americans call it? Honestly, listen, if I'm going to give you any advice in education, just don't nick off, because it's so not worth it. I missed a science lesson to sit in the woods, not daring to make a sound in case somebody walked past and knew that I was nicking out. And I needed the toilet so badly. And there was nowhere to go because I was with a bunch of other people as well. So I couldn't just exactly go in the woods with them there. I'm pretty sure I weed myself on the way home. And you know what? I'm willing to regale that tale to you to try and stop you not nicking out of school, because honestly, it might seem exciting, babe, but it's fucking that is hands down the most boring experience I've ever had. And I think I'm quite glad that I nicked off that one time in year 8, because it's not something that I ever done since, because sitting in a lesson for an hour, no matter how bored you are, is so much less boring than skipping school. So J, look at me. Oh, you know what? I didn't have a positive experience throughout school. So if you're looking for school tips, don't come at me. Come at me for tips of how to get through it. Don't come at me for tips on how to succeed, because I don't actually know, babe. I did put the cafe in here actually, because this cafe also leads on to the music block. So I thought I'd include the music block in here, because when I was in year 7 and 8, I loved the music block. I think I had a special interest in music at that point, specifically guitar. I was in guitar lessons and everything. And they also had the most personality as well. And here's a flashback, if anybody wants to flashback to their secondary school years. Said boom, chicka rock, chicka rock, chicka boom. Said boom, chicka rock, chicka rock, chicka boom. Ha 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 ha, he 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 he. One more time. I said boom, chicka boom. Oh, that used to get me feral. Also, interestingly enough, something that I mentioned in my making high school realistic experience is the isolation rooms. Now, I did hear some things from Americans, and my best mate Brittany, they're American, and they said that they had in-school suspension. But yeah, we have isolation rooms, and they are built just a block cave. You can't really interact with other people around you. Unfortunately, my autistic mind viewed it as a challenge to overcome. I was a talker throughout school, a really big talker. A teacher told me I had verbal diarrhea. Like, all the signs were there. Being by myself, babe, not a challenge for me. And then this also leads on to the PE department and the changing rooms. There wasn't really much that I could do because, like I said, this didn't come with a football pitch or anything like that. So I couldn't include that, unfortunately. But I did include a cheer mat and some gym equipment and stuff like that. And I also included the changing rooms. Changing rooms, again, they don't have much personality because what can you really do in there? Do you know what I mean? But there is showers, so you can go shower. I never used the showers at school. We did have showers. I think they've been took out now. I was so uncomfortable with my body growing up. To this day, you won't often see me in short shorts. I just don't like my skin not being on show in terms of like I'm a prude, but like I kind of more so don't like the sensation of it, of so much bare skin, feeling air. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone. So I use the shower stalls to get changed, but I never actually use the showers. So it's good to know. I also decided to include these two mobiles. I don't know if, I think it is a general thing, like throughout the UK, we'll usually have some mobiles and they'll just, I don't know, they're not even temporary classrooms because they're fixtures. And we had them in primary school too, actually. But they're not there anymore, I don't think. So maybe they were temporary, who knows? Mine, for some reason, were French and English, which is really fucking weird because like the languages were on the opposite side of the school. So I remember every teacher that had these lessons in these mobiles were fuming about it every time. But they're there. So I decided to make these into little IT labs for students to use. Again, not a usable classroom in the sense of like you don't actually attend lessons here, but they're usable in the sense of when you've got a couple of hours free on your school day, you can go here. And a fun story that I will regale to you is in my school, we had mobile 2, 3, 4 and 5, and we didn't have mobile 1 because it burnt down. And then finally, we have the art department / the science department / the head teacher's office kind of thing, which I thought I'd include the head teacher's office here because I was going to have it at the front desk, like I said, but it just didn't feel natural. It just didn't, I mean, saying that didn't feel natural. I don't know what accent that was because that sure as heck was not mine. But yeah, it just didn't feel, you know, I was in the head's office a lot. So was this based strictly on my head's office? Yeah, it was actually, it was. They're going to be like quite away from the school. So I thought I'd give them their own thing, especially because we got the head teacher's desk and the bookcases and stuff like that. I thought I'd include it here, and a little seating area as well. I remember my dad meeting up with my head teacher, and you know how you do a usual handshake where you just like shake the hand like that? No, my dad, like, obviously I've got opposite hands, so you shake with the same hand, but my dad was like, you know when you do like that and like pull them in for a bro hug and like smack the back? That's how my dad greeted my head teacher. And I thought when that happened, when I got told, I was like, my parents must go into the school for these meetings. They must meet my parents and so much must make sense. But you know what? You'll never find a childhood as happy as mine, babe. Blessed to be born in the family that I was. Always forever thankful to be born in my family. And do you know what, babe? If you don't have that type of family, because I know that a lot of people don't, a lot of my friends don't, for you can let it go. You can throw a party full of everyone you know. It's so okay. And found families is so valid. I have a found family with my friends as well. And they are my life partners. Like, they are who I'm spending the rest of my life with. I've decided that. Getting emotional. You know what? I'm just forever thankful. Shit can be thrown at you, babe, but the people that you have around you make it all the more easy. Oh God, I can't. I'm not getting in. I'm crying. How the fuck did we get onto this? The science department. Anyway, just food for thought. Take that home with you. Leave that. Put it in your pot and stir it, babe. The art department. I put my entire symbol seat in the art department because I was like, do you know what? The art department at my school fucking slapped. Hated it there. Didn't realise I was autistic. I didn't realise I was autistic then either, but I didn't realise I was artistic then, so I never spent much time in there. But it was always decorated to the high heavens. I was always jealous of art students because I didn't know how to do any of it. I loved the art department. Do I need to justify it? Listen, if you don't believe me that I love art department, I jest. And the science department as well. One thing that this base game of The Sims 4 done is this sciencey aspect. It kind of nailed the aspect. Like, a lot of the Sims 4 base game was shit, but this whole like collecting elements and stuff like that and microscopic things, they really nailed that. Like, that's a part of the Sims 4 base game that I really enjoy. So I put my entire symbol seat in a decorate and all of that. So we've got the little frog collectibles and everything. That part of the Sims 4 base game is special to me. Every time that I come across a diggable rock or looking for frogs in a wild, it makes me so happy. GG to the Sims team for that, babe. Love yas. For the exterior, in terms of landscaping, decorating and stuff like that, I'm not the best landscaper. Like, I think I can do an alright job at it, but I'm just not the most confident. I don't know where a lot of stuff goes. My landscaping pretty much just extends to shot in a tree and a couple of rocks underneath, which I did do a lot here. And honestly, if you're like me and you're not the most confident landscaping, a tree, a rock, a couple of bushes and some mud paint, that will do the job, babe. I did because it was kind of just open grass everything, and I thought schools aren't like that. Schools are very much dictated where you go. Like, there's definite pathways and stuff. So I try to bring that in a lot. Have some seating areas and places where you can go and eat. There is a little chess table outside and stuff like that. So there is very designated sections. Again, I'm not the best landscaper. I've also not got that much interest in landscaping, even in real life. A lot of the time in real life, I'm constantly looking at houses. I'm constantly on Rightmove and stuff like that. If I'm going past and I see a house I like, I'll take a picture of it because I'm dying to build it in The Sims. Landscaping is not the same for me. When I look at houses, I do not take the landscaping into account. I think it might just be because a lot of British houses in general, to be honest, like, landscaping is not a factor that comes into it because most British houses, mine included, we don't really have a front garden and the back garden is quite small. so I've never really had to factor landscaping it. You know what? We're getting real deep with these truths, but real deep. Yeah, my garden's small. That makes sense, actually, because I think about houses a lot because I live in one. I don't think about gardens much. I've only got a small one. So true. So true. Here are the photos overall. I hope that I've done a good job of trying to represent what a British school is actually like, especially if you're not British. And if you are British, please let me know if this is what your school looked like, or if my school was... My school is definitely not like one in a million. Mine was 70s build, because I feel like a lot in the media, British schools kind of are portrayed to be Hogwarts. And don't get me wrong, a lot of things that happen in Hogwarts aren't just a Hogwarts thing. Like, they're not exclusive to Harry Potter. They are very much just a British thing. Like, we have... This is going to blow some people's minds, because every time I mention this, people are like, what? What does that say, Anaya? We have houses. My house was yellow. Like, we have uniforms based on the house that we have. We have house points. They don't really mean anything, though. They don't mean the same as Harry Potter. We have prefects. We have head boy, head girl. Boarding school's not a thing. Well, it is, but only for like the filthy rich. If Hogwarts wasn't magical, wasn't a boarding school, and wasn't in a castle, it would just be the same as any other British school. Like, pretty much everything else is the same. Anyway, that's the end of this video. I love you all so much. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I'm sorry I've been a bit all over the place in this video, but I'm sure you can understand. I love you all, and I will see you in a couple of days, I think. I love you. Bye.